Hi, in this video we are going to see from webMethods integration, we are going to see how to create a flow service. Once we create the flow service, we are going to see how to expose that as a web service. In order to do that, I'll just create a project. So I'm inside the webMethods integration platform, and inside the project I'm going to click this plus symbol in order to create the project. I'll just call this project as calculator project, and then I'll just click create. So inside the project you can create a workflow, you can create a flow services, API and many. In this example we are going to try flow service. So I'll just create my first flow service here inside my calculator project. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to add two numbers. Okay, with the help of flow service I'm going to add two numbers. So in order to add two numbers, we can search here as a add int, which is the built-in service which is available in order to add two numbers. Okay, I'll just click that, and now I have selected that. I need to map what is the input for this add int built-in service, which I need to specify. So that I'm going to select this one, and I'll just first save it, and this is a flow service name, and I'll just call this flow service as adding two numbers. Okay, so in this flow service I'm going to add two numbers only. Okay, so this is my flow service. I'll save this one, and the flow service got created now. So you select this, the first row itself, and then we are going to map it. So I'll just click this math. Okay, I'll just come out this one. See, I have selected the right side of the first line, and you are able to see this map icon or arrow, right? You just click that and it will open this window. If you look at this one, this is for the add int function. This is the input you need to pass. num1 and num2 you have to pass. This will in turn add the whatever the value you provide, and it gives the value in the output data as a value field. It will give your result. So if I give 5 and 2 here, then this value will be 7. So now if anything coming from the different service to this flow service input, we have to create that service input first, because we have created some adding two numbers service which is a flow service. For that we didn't define any input. If you want to define any input, then what you have to do, you have to click this IO, which is define input and output. You just click this one. Here only we are going to say what is the input for my adding two numbers. Okay, so in the input field section, click this add new set, click this plus symbol, and once you click that, it will ask, I'll just give number 1 is my input for this service. Okay, as we are going to add two number, so we are going to create two numbers. One is number 1. I'll just click done, and I'm going to click this input and output. They are already added only number 1. I'm going to add one more, which is called number 2. Similarly, if you want whatever you want, you can click, and then finally you click done. Okay, so number 2 is added, and then I'm going to deal with string operation for this particular field. So the data type for this particular field is string. So output for this particular adding two number service, I want to create some output. I'll just call that as a result. So I have selected the first option, and I'll click this plus symbol, and I'll just call this field value as, or output field name as result, and I'm going to keep the data type as string only. I'll just click done. So now what I have done, I have created two input, which is number 1, number 2, and also I have created output called result, which I'm going to map it to this add-in service. So this add-in service, we have a input like num1, num2, which we need to map it from our input, which I'll drag and drop, and I'll map it, and this number 2 I'll map it to num2. This value I'll map it to my field called result, because this is the field I have defined it. So now there is a button in the right side for save. I'll just click save. So now if anybody run this one and pass number 1 and number 2 as an input, they will get the output in the result field, because we have mapped this add int of value field to our result field, so that our field look very meaningful. So now I'll just run this one to verify this flow service is working as expected. I'll just pass some number value. I'll say 5, and number 2 I'll say 7. Okay, so when I add these two, it has to come 12 in the result field. See here, the result field is coming with the 12. So this way we can execute your flow service. So now whatever we have seen, how to create a flow service inside our calculator project, and we have executed it as well. So we executed with the run, and then we pass some value. For example, I can pass 10 and then I can say 20. Then if I run, it will give a result as 30. See here, this flow service is working expected. So this is one flow service. So now what I'll do, I'll just create one more flow service. In that, I'm going to multiply two numbers. So in order to do that, I'll just use some existing built-in service, which is multiply int. Okay, so I'll save this one. I'll save this service name as multiply two numbers, and then I'll save it. I'll just close this one, and then right side, this edit mapping arrow, you have to click it in order to map anything to your multiply int built-in service. So in order to do that, I'll just click input output. Here also I'm going to define what is input for my service and what is output field for my service. So I'll just call my input field as number 1. So this is the different service. Okay, so number 1, and then I'll add one more field name called number 2. Both of them I'm keeping a type as string, and I'll just go to output. There also I'll create one field called result. Okay, now I'll just click done. Now I'm going to map this multiply to input service. We have a multiply int service. I'm going to map number 1 to num1, number 2 equal to num2. Okay, so this is the built-in service input, but we are mapping with our service input. Similarly, the built-in service output is value, which I'm going to map it to our service output, which is a result, right? So it's not appearing here. I'll just save it, and then I'll just close this one and I'll open again. Okay, so here it's not visible. I'll just go and see the input output tab, what I have specified, right? I specified already result, which is already there. So I'm not going to do anything. I'll just save this one, and then I'll just go back and come back again to the same workflow, same flow service. So this is a multiply two numbers flow service. I'll just click this again. You'll be able to see the field. Okay, so here it's not visible. I'll search it. So result field is not appearing here. I'll just go back and see output field. I added a new set, and then this is the result field. Okay, I think it's taking time to reflect. Otherwise, normally it come here. I'll just refresh this one. Okay, I'll try to run it first to see this is working as expected. I'm going to multiply 11 with 2. So you should give 22 as answer, right? So I'm just going to run it to see the value is coming. Yeah, so see here, the value is coming as 22 here. So it's working as expected only. So now I'll just go to, I'll close this window. I'll click this one. And still that result field is not available here. So what I'll do, I'll just go to input output, and I'll just change this field again. Result string required field, yes, everything is there. And then basically I'll just try to delete, and then I'll try to add it again. Okay, so I'm going to add a input output, where output field, add a new set. I'm going to say result is my output field, and then I'll just click done, and then I'll save this one. It's not coming still. I'll expand everything. I'll go back and open this one again, the flow service which we have created, right? Okay, it's not coming yet. It's taking time to reflect. So as of now, right, whatever the value it's coming, we will retrieve or will map that into the value field only. So mainly what I showed now, how to create a flow service. We added two numbers, and also we multiplied two numbers. So these two things are there in a two different service, which is a flow service, which I can execute within my webmethods io.platform, right? So for example, I wanted to expose this flow service as a API. So how do we do it, right? So I'll just go to this API. Inside your project, you have something called API. You click that. And as of now, inside the project, there is no API. I'm going to create a REST API first. So I'll just create a API, create from scratch, design new API, click next. And I'll just say this is a calculator only, because I'm going to call that my adding to number only, calculator web service, or I'll just say calculator only. And version, I'll just say this is a version 1, and whatever it is there remaining, I'll just leave it that as a default. I'll click save. Here because what we are going to do is we are going to post some number 1, number 2 as an input, and we are going to call internally our flow service, because the web service is going to call a flow service in order to execute that functionality, and it's going to give a result back. So I'm going to add a resource. As we are going to post some data, I'll select the post method only, and also I'm going to give some endpoint. So endpoint, I'll say add, and I'll say post method. Okay, and then what I'll do, so whenever someone calls this post method with the add operation, we are saying this one, saying that you just invoke adding two numbers. Okay, so that is what we did. So number 1, number 2, this is our flow service input, right? So that is coming automatically here, and here there are different things there, and I'll just keep the default form data only. And then if there are any access issue, it will give access denied. 200 means it will give OK. Similarly, if you wanted to add more response, you can add that as well. As of now, I'll just keep that default, and I'll click done, and then I'll save it. So now for this exercise, I have created only one resource, but you can create many resource endpoint in the same API as well. Okay, so now the API is created. I'll just go to API details. You have some API endpoint which you can copy. Similarly, in your for your consumer, if you wanted to give that our input as a JSON or YAML for their consumption, you can give this documentation as well, using which they can understand what is your endpoint, what is your request structure, response structure, everything they can see it from here as well. So for example, I'll just click to copy, and I'll just open the another tab. This is the URL for your Swagger. If you run this one, it will ask the username and password for your webmethod IO integration. I already logged in, it's not asking. If it's asking, then you have to pass your webmethod IO integration tenant username and password, so that it will give what is your endpoint, what is your base path, and what are the parameter you need to pass, number 1 and number 2, and this is the result set you will get it in a response format. This is your documentation for your API. So now what I'll do, I'll just go to the Postman in order to test my API. So my API is in a post method, and my API endpoint, I can take it from this documentation, or I can take it from this API endpoint. I'll just copy it from here, and I'll go to this Postman and pasted my endpoint. And also we pass some endpoint as resource endpoint as add in our API, because we have specified that as a resource method. If you go here, right, resource and method, we have created an additional resource path which is add, which I'm going to pass it here. And then authorization, yeah, so we have to pass username and password. So I'll select basic authentication. I'm giving my webmethod IO login username and password, and then headers, this is a request. I'll just pass content type as application/JSON, and I have to pass the parameter. I'll pass number 1. This is for adding two numbers, so I'll just say 15 is my first number. Number 2, I'll say 5. Okay, so now if I send the request, it will hit my webmethod IO platform. In turn, because we created an API, right? So we are calling an API only, but in turn API, it's calling our flow service, because first we have initially created a flow service. That flow service only we have exposed that as a REST endpoint. So now it's able to add, and it's able to give a result in the result field, which we have configured in our flow service output. Similarly, if you wanted to add any other value, right, or any other numbers, for example, I wanted to add 10 plus 5, and if I send it, it will give us a 15 as output, and also it's able to reach the web service successfully. That is why it's giving 200 OK status. So as of now, I have given only one method, right? And if you wanted to add another resource, for example, we have multiply also, right? We can add multiply. So it's loading now. Okay, I'll go to, as we got some error, right? So I'll just go again and I'll just go to the resource and method. I'll try to add a new resource. Okay, I'll just come again. See here, maybe the login is expired. Maybe that's why it's not able to add a new resource in the existing REST API. I'll go to the project, which is calculator project, where we have two flow service. And now whatever we are doing is a API. There I have a REST API only we are doing. Calculator is a REST API where you're already having an add. I'm trying to add a resource. Yeah, so now it's working, right? For example, now I wanted to add multiply into my path. That is also, I'll say the path must start. So I'll just give slash multiply. And then this is also post method. And I'll select multiply two numbers. Now the remaining everything I'll leave it default and I'll click done. I'll save this one. So now this API has two endpoint, add and multiply. Add internally calling our adding two numbers flow service. Multiply resource, it's calling our multiply two numbers flow service. Okay. So now I'll just test this one from our Postman. I'll go to same endpoint. I'll go and change it to multiply, right? Multiply and number 5, 10 into 5, it should come 50, right? And also the result, we didn't map result field, we kept it as a value field. I'll just try to run this one. 10 into 5, it should come as 50, right? But what it's coming without any value because we didn't define explicitly any output field. Okay, so that is why it's empty. I'll just go and see is there anything else wrong, right? Multiply and it didn't invoke our flow service. I'll just go to the flow service, go to this multiply two numbers, and this input output I'll go, and output fields, it's a result, because see here I have defined a field called result, but that result is not available. So that's why result field is coming, because we didn't explicitly map anything. So that is why it's coming null, because we didn't map anything. Now I'll just go to the mapping and see that field is appearing or not. So it's not appearing. So what I'll do, instead of that result field, I'll just keep this value field in our output. Okay, I'll try to change this field name to value, and then I'll delete this result field. So this is a value. I'll just click done, and then I'll save this one. So the value is already there, so it should come in a result now. I'll try to run it again. See here, 10 into 5, 50 is coming in a value field. And I'll just change 15 into 5, it should come as 75, right? So that will come in your multiply result. So this way you can have endpoint, right? And you can create a REST endpoint, and you can have multiple resource. For example, if I pass add, then 15 plus 5, 20, it will come. Similarly, if I send multiple in my resource endpoint, then it will be multiplying and it will give a result back. So whatever we have seen now, right? We have seen how to create a flow service, and also we have seen how to create a REST API, because flow service we cannot invoke directly from Postman, right? Because if I'm going to tell my other team or other application to consume my flow service data, right? So I have to expose that API so that it will be easy for them to consume and access our functionality. So now what we have done, so we have exposed as a REST API. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a SOAP API. Okay, so how do we do it? You just create a API. I'll create it from the scratch, design new API option, click next, and I'll just call this also as a calculator only, and then version, this is a SOAP version. I'll select the latest SOAP version and then select flow service. There are two flow service. I'll just select adding two numbers, and this one I'll say document literal, and then the remaining I'll leave it default and I'll just click save. So this calculator SOAP API, I'm going to add only adding two numbers alone now. I'll just save it. So this is our operation. Okay, adding two numbers is our operation. If you wanted to add more operation, you can add that as well. So I'll just add that as well. I'll say multiply, and then this one I'll select multiply two numbers. I'll save it. Okay, so here we have added adding two numbers and multiply is there. So now, so we have configured which whenever there is a in SOAP we call that as an operation. So whenever we call this adding two numbers operation, it will add it, and whenever we call multiply operation, it will multiply it. So now the API is ready. In SOAP world or SOAP API world, we will share this WSDL specification to the consumer. If anybody wants to consume our API, what we will do, we will share this WSDL which will have the documentation for our API. WSDL is Web Service Definition Language, which is a XML format which will have the details about our API, like what is your endpoint, what is your input, what is your output. So those kind of request response structure, we will have it in our WSDL file. So for example, I'm going to open WSDL file. So earlier I opened the Swagger, right? So this is a Swagger, and I'll open the WSDL file. It will be in a XML format. See here, it's there in XML format. It's showing what are the different operations you have, adding two numbers and multiply, and adding two numbers, what are the two input field and what is the output field. Similarly, what are the two input field for your multiply operation, and what is the value field, what is the output field in your multiply response. So this is how its structure looks, and also it will have the your endpoint details as well. So this is the documentation for your SOAP based API. So now what I'll do, so this is the endpoint. I'm going to, this is a WSDL URL. Using this documentation, I'm going to run some tests from SOAP UI. SOAP UI is a testing tool to test any SOAP based API. I'll click this SOAP project, and it's asking a project name. So I'll just give this one as a calculator demo, and then WSDL, I'll paste that WSDL. I'll click OK. So it's asking my tenant username and password. I'll just give that now. I'll just click OK. So now it's created the structure at our end for our testing. If you look at this one, calculator having adding two numbers one operation and multiply as another operation. I'll open this one. I'll open the sample request, and I'll give some value. Number one I'll say 10, and number two I'll give 6. I'm going to run this one. Before that, this API, it's enforced with some username and password which we need to pass it. So I'll just select basic authentication, and we need to pass the username and password. So I'm passing my webMethods.io login username and password. Okay, so whatever I'm using it for cloud, right? The same username and password I am giving it here as well. Now username and password I have supplied. Request I have formed it where I have given an input value which is 10 and 6. The expectation is the result field should come with 16 as an answer, right? I'll run it now. See here, result is coming as 16 because this is for adding two number. This is your operation request, and this is your response. In this response structure, you have a result field where you have a added number values are coming. For example, if I give this is a 20 and 5, it will come as a 25 as a result. See here. Now we will test the multiply operation. I'll expand this one. I'll open the multiply request. I'll expand this one where I'll pass my number as 10 and number 2 I'll pass 4. So the expectation is the value should come as 40. Okay, I have to pass my authentication as well, which I'll send as basic from our multiply endpoint as well. I'll try to give the username and password, which is techlightninginfo@gmail.com. And so this is basically my trial account which I used to log in for my SoftwareAG cloud tenant. So I'll just try to run this one. So it's supposed to give value as 40. See here, value is 40. So it's able to multiply and it's able to give a result. So for example, I'll change this number value as first value is 2. This one I'll keep it as is. So it's supposed to give 8 as an answer now. See here, 8 is coming as an answer. So what we have done, we have created two flow service and we expose that as a SOAP based API. So we have seen how SOAP API work in webmethod IO integration now. So today what we have seen, initially we created two flow service which is there in this calculate demo project. So the session is expired. I'll try to log in now. So the particular project which we created today, initially we created a calculator project. Inside the calculator project, I have created two flow services under this flow services tab. One is for adding two number and another one is for multiplying two numbers. And then later I wanted to expose and test and I wanted to run from my Postman, right? So for that I just created a REST API where we have configured our resource endpoint, which in turn talked to our flow service. Similarly, we created a SOAP web service where it's in turn, the SOAP API in turn is talking to our flow service in order to execute that function. So this way we can expose our flow service as a API. Similarly, we can do expose our workflow as a API as well. But in this exercise today, whatever we have seen, how to expose a flow service as a API to the external world. Thank you.